Hey guys, Lucky Ghost here. In this video, I'm going to answer the question you guys ask me all the time. What build is my favorite? Now, considering I make builds for all classes all the time, this is a bit like picking my favorite child. And just like your parents, I'm lying when I say I don't have favorites. So in this video, I'm actually going to tell you which builds are my favorite builds right now. And as always, remember, every build I put out can do all the content in the game. All the classes are plenty strong, but these are the ones that I'm enjoying the most right now for a variety of reasons. Maybe they're fun to play, maybe they're simple to play, or maybe the current meta is enabling using really fun skills on those builds. Okay, so let's begin. First up, we have the Stamina Necromancer. The Stamina Necromancer has been my main in Elder Scrolls Online more often than it's not. I have a lot of hours in this bad boy. The rotation is part of my subconscious. I miss the days of cranking out massive damage with Brawler, but this new era of Stamina Necromancer is also pretty insane. Their damage is nearly unrivaled, their sustain is fantastic, and they have my favorite ability, Blast Bones, which is one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game, and on top of that, it's an AoE ability, making the Stamina Necromancer an absolute force to be reckoned with anytime there's more than one enemy around. And guess what? There's almost always more than one enemy around, which means the Stamina Necromancer is almost always killing it in content. But of course, it's not just the damage that makes the Stamina Necromancer so fun. The utility of the Stam Crow is what I really love about it. In concert with all the damage that it's able to put out, it seamlessly jumps around between group and solo content, and thanks to some neat class abilities, it does so easier than most. For instance, it's got Beckoning Armor, which serves multiple purposes that are great for solo content. It provides major resolve, making your character even more indestructible. It also pulls enemies into you if they attack from range, which means they will melt along with everything else you're beating down without you having to move. I can't express how good this feels in actual content. Necro also has the Spirit Mender, which follows you around and heals you, which is insanely nice. This is something that really helps keep you standing when you don't yet have that Ring of the Bell order. Not only that, the class has some of the coolest looking abilities in the game, and some fantastic buffs and debuffs to dish out, making it one of my all-time favorites. Be sure to check out the build linked in the description below if the Necromancer sounds like a good time to you. It's capable of doing all the content in the game, no problem. The next favorite on the list is going to be the Magicka Sorcerer. The Magicka Sorcerer is one that was feeling a little underwhelming for me for a while, but it has recently crept back up towards the top of my favorites. The Sorcerer right now is the highest single target damage class in the game, and you feel this in all types of content. That doesn't make it the best damage dealer in all situations, but it does make it a force to be reckoned with. One of the best things about the Magicka Sorcerer right now is how capable it can be for both group and solo content with minimal gear. Essentially, the Ring of the Bell order made it so that all the other classes could feel as good as the Sorcerer does in solo content, because the Sorcerer already had Critical Surge, which causes you to get constant heals as you crit enemies around you. This pairs really nicely with Boundless Storm, which gives your character this indestructible feeling. Boundless Storm is providing major resolve, which increases your resistances by 6,000, and Crit Surge is constantly throwing you fat heals. I also love Daedric Prey, which feels kind of like sticking a bomb to your enemy, and until that bomb explodes, your pets are doing increased damage to that enemy. It's a really powerful combo, and it's really satisfying. And yeah, the Sorcerer is the de facto pet class in ESO, so if you want to run around with a lot of permanent pets, the Sorc is your best bet right now. You've got permanent ones that you can slot on your first 5 abilities, and then you've got 2 pets that you can slot on your bars, and then you've got 1 temporary one that you can slot on your ultimate. And if you really want to go nuts, there's a few sets that you can equip to temporarily summon even more pets. But my favorite part about the Sorcerer is just how hard it is to kill, while still putting out a ton of damage. It also has the benefit of having some of the cooler looking and more impactful feeling abilities in the game. If you've not yet tried out the Sorcerer, definitely give one a spin at some point, and try my build, linked in the description down below. It's absolutely melting everything I throw at it right now. Next on my list of top builds right now is going to be the Stamina Dragonknight. The Stamina Dragonknight had a lot of years in the doghouse. The class was so neglected for so long, largely due to the fact that ZOS felt like it was the tank of ESO, and the community had accepted that it was the tank of ESO. You could use it for other things, but for a long time it didn't really feel like ZOS wanted you to. Then finally ZOS gave the Dragonknight some love, and this love has really catapulted the Magicka Dragonknight into the spotlight for group content. You really can't go wrong being a Magicka DK right now. However, the Stamina Dragonknight is also a ton of fun, and I'd argue even more fun than the Magicka Dragonknight right now. The Stamina Dragonknight melts through enemies like butter in all solo content, and it does so with such powerful dots and so much sustain. Combine all of that with the fact that this was the tank class means it was insanely hard to kill. It's an absolute tank on the battlefield, even as it's doing massive DPS. It's just got a lot of resistances built in and easy access to damage mitigation. For this reason, you can take my solo Stamina Dragonknight build, which is one of my most popular ones for this very reason, and stand toe-to-toe with nearly any boss in any arena in the game and melt it down no problem. Again, it's got some of the coolest looking abilities, along with some of the hardest hitting dots, along with some of the most durability, making it a blast to play in both group and solo content. It also has excellent AoE damage, so if you like fire, if you like poison, if you like big AoE damage and being hard to kill, definitely check out my Stamina Dragonknight build linked in the description down below. Okay, next up we've got the Magicka Templar. I love the Magicka Templar. I have a soft spot for this one for a lot of reasons. It looks cool, it feels cool, it's intuitive, it's easy to play. Okay, that's some bullshit right there. It looks cool, it feels cool, it's intuitive, it's easy to play, and it's capable of big things earlier than most classes are. So this is a class that's real easy for new players to pick up and do really well with, while also still being fantastic in the end game. It's got a higher floor and a similar ceiling than the rest of the classes. Why is that? Well, this is all thanks to its spammable sweeps, which does big damage to enemies while also healing you. This makes it real easy to keep yourself alive in solo and group content. A lot of times our healers fail us in ESO. Either they're fake healers trying to skip the queue, or they're real healers that stood in the wrong area and died. Either way, that means it's going to be up to you to keep yourself alive from time to time, and the Magicka Templar excels at this. It also has some pretty fantastic sustain and the single best execute in the game, the Jesus Beam. You connect a beam of light from your hand to your enemy, doing more damage the less health they have. And now that this ability scales the way it does and crits the way that it does, it just hits so insanely hard. Not only that, but you can take a morph of this ability that also heals you, making it again really difficult to die. The reason the Magicka Templar is so easy relative to other classes is because your primary heal and your primary damage ability are the same ability. So if you panic and start spamming your spammable, you are also spamming your heal, which means you're probably not dying. Really, the only way that you die is if you stop attacking altogether, or you run out of resources. But with my builds, you're not going to be having that problem, especially after you get all of your passives unlocked. The Magicka Templar is probably my top pick for someone just entering the game, thanks to its intuitive nature and friendly demeanor. This makes it a ton of fun to play without a lot of stress built into it, which makes it one of my most popular builds. Again, check it out for yourself. It's linked in the description down below. Next, we have the insanely powerful Magicka Necromancer. Now, we talked about the Stamina Necromancer earlier, so a lot of what I'm about to say is going to sound a little bit familiar because there is some overlap between the Magicka and Stamina variants of these builds. In a lot of cases, I much prefer the Mag or the Stam version of one class over another, but the Necro is one where I really do love both the Magicka and the Stamina version. They both feel great, they're both a lot of fun, and they both have access to the things I love about the Necromancer, which would be its massive AoE damage, its impactful abilities, and the fun utility abilities that it has access to. It's the little things that make this class so much fun to play in solo content. You feel a little bit like Batman. There's a gadget in your belt for any situation. So if you run into something that's giving you trouble, take a look at the options in your skills, and you'll almost certainly find a solution. It's got built-in AoE Major Breach to reduce enemy resistances. It's got built-in Major Resolve to increase your resistances, built-in Chains to automatically pull ranged enemies into you, and it's got the hardest hitting AoE ability in the game. It's got some of the strongest buffs and some of the strongest debuffs in the game. The Necromancer is the newest class in the game, and I'd say that it shows. It's got some cool quirks to it that make it really fun to play and make it feel a bit more different than the rest of the classes do. The Magicka Necromancer is always a welcome addition to the group content, and it's crazy powerful in solo play with just a few changes. It's got some of the coolest looking abilities in the game, but do be careful about casting them in town as that can easily anger the guards. I guess they don't like seeing you raise their grandma from the dead to do battle with the enemy. Their loss, in my opinion. Also, we're kind of busy saving the world, so it just seems like a really petty thing for guards to be upset about. I'm sure their Nan would love to help. The Magicka Necro is a lot like a Stamina Necro, but a little more ranged. So if that sounds fun, definitely check out the guide linked in the description down below. All right, now for the final class on the list, the last one on my list of favorites. And please don't tell the other builds that I made this list. I don't want to have to pay for a bunch of their therapy later on. This is the Stamina Nightblade. The Stamina Nightblade is harder than most of the other classes on this list to play because doing well with this class in terms of your survivability requires you to have pretty high uptimes on a lot of your abilities. You're going to get Major Resolve, turning you into a tank every time you use your spammable, but it's short-lived, so you need to make sure you use that frequently. You also get a ton of health back from different abilities that you're using, and combined with the Ring of the Bell Order, it makes you nearly indestructible enjoyable, but if you start slacking on keeping some of those abilities going, you can very quickly start to feel like paper. Also, I just love the vibe of the dual wielding Nightblade. Dual wield and Nightblade, they just fit so well together.
Nobody else, really?
The Nightblade has some of the best bursts in the game, thanks to its ultimate that increases its damage by a ton for a little while after casting it, so you can set up some pretty insane burst windows on your enemies. Not only that, but unlike most ultimates in the game, the Nightblade ultimate is very cheap and it's meant to be used frequently, so let that bad boy rip on any mob that looks thicker than the rest. You don't need to wait and save this for bosses, but definitely do use it on bosses when you get to them. The damage the stamina Nightblade puts out is awesome, and its prowess and solo content is highly underrated thanks to its slightly more difficult nature of its playstyle. But once you get it, it's insanely powerful and really fun to play. If this sounds as fun to you as it was for me, be sure to check out the written guide linked in the description below. As always, if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. This is my second channel dedicated to ESO guides, so be sure to subscribe while you're playing ESO. Massive shout out to my YouTube members. If you want to become a member, to have your name listed at the end of the video, or to have private access to the channel, see behind the scenes footage, or to support me on this content journey, click the link in the description below. Thank you for watching, guys, and if you're not sure what to do next, check out one of the videos that's popping up on screen right now.